Welcome to New Orleans, Louisiana, a city with a rich and colorful history, unique culture, and vibrant music scene. Known for its French and Spanish colonial architecture, world-famous cuisine, and annual Mardi Gras celebrations, New Orleans is a city unlike any other. Situated on the banks of the mighty Mississippi River, New Orleans has long been a hub of commerce, transportation, and cultural exchange. Its diverse population includes descendants of African, European, and Native American peoples, as well as immigrants from around the world. But with its rich history comes a darker side, a side that we will explore today as we delve into the story of the Axeman of New Orleans. It was the early 1900s, and New Orleans was a city on the rise. But with progress came a sense of unease, a feeling that something was amiss. And then in the spring of 1918, that feeling turned to terror, as a mysterious killer began stalking the streets of New Orleans. Known only as the Axeman, this individual targeted Italian-American immigrants, breaking into their homes at night and attacking them with an axe. The Axeman's victims were chosen seemingly at random, and no one knew when or where he would strike next. As news of the murders spread, panic gripped the city and people began taking extreme measures to protect themselves and their families. The Axeman seemed to be everywhere and nowhere at the same time, a phantom lurking in the shadows, waiting to strike. The Axeman's reign of terror began on May 23, 1918, when a grocer named Joseph Maggio and his wife Catherine were brutally attacked in their home in the early hours of the morning. The killer had entered their home through a rear door and had bludgeoned the couple with an axe before slitting their throats with a straight razor. The Maggios were discovered by Joseph's brother, who lived next door, and heard strange noises coming from the couple's house. The murder weapon, a blood-stained axe, was found at the scene, but there were no clues as to the identity of the killer. The city was shocked and frightened by the senseless brutality of the crime, and little did they know that it was only the beginning. Over the next several months, the Axeman struck again and again, targeting Italian-American immigrants and leaving a trail of death and destruction in his wake. On June 27, 1918, Louis Bessumer and his mistress Harriet Lowe were attacked in their home. Bessumer survived, but Lowe died of her injuries. The Axeman struck again on August 5th, attacking another couple, Anna and Frank Schneider, as they slept in their bed. Both were badly injured, but survived the attack. The Axeman's next victim was Mike Pepitone, a grocer who was attacked in his home on October 27, 1918. He died of his injuries several hours later. The Axeman continued to elude the police, and the city was paralyzed with fear. No one knew when or where he would strike next, or what his motives might be. In the midst of the Axeman's reign of terror, something strange happened. On March 13, 1919, a letter arrived at the offices of the New Orleans Times-Picayune, purportedly written by the Axeman himself. The letter claimed that the Axeman was a demon from hell, and that he would spare anyone who played jazz music in their homes on a certain night. The letter read, in part, quote from the letter, "They have never caught me, and they never will. They have never seen me, for I am invisible, even as the ether that surrounds your earth. I am not a human being, but a spirit and a demon from the hottest hell. I am what you Orleanians and your foolish police call the Axeman." The letter caused a sensation, and many people in New Orleans took it seriously. On the night of March 19th, jazz music filled the air as people played their instruments and danced in their homes, hoping to avoid the Axeman's wrath. And strangely enough, there were no attacks reported that night. It's unclear whether the Axeman was behind the letter or whether it was a hoax, but it added to the mystery and intrigue surrounding the case. The night of March 19, 1919 became known as the Night of Jazz, as people throughout New Orleans played music in their homes in hopes of avoiding the Axeman's wrath. It was a bizarre response to a bizarre letter, but it seemed to have worked. There were no reported attacks that night. Some people believe that the Axeman was a fan of jazz music and was appeased by the city's collective musical offering. Others think that the letter was a hoax, designed to sow confusion and fear. Whatever the case, the Night of Jazz became part of the Axeman legend, and the mystery deepened. The Axeman's last known attack occurred on October 27, 1919, when he targeted a pregnant woman named Rosie Cortimiglia and her husband Charles. The couple was attacked in their home, and both were badly injured. Rosie, who was 8 months pregnant at the time, lost her child as a result of the attack. Charles survived, but was left with permanent injuries. The Axeman was never caught, and the case remains one of the most infamous unsolved mysteries in American history. Theories abound as to the killer's identity and motives, but no one knows for sure what drove the Axeman to commit such brutal acts of violence. The Axeman of New Orleans was one of the most prolific and elusive serial killers of the early 20th century. Despite a massive manhunt and numerous suspects, he was never caught, and his true identity remains a mystery to this day. Some people believe that the Axeman was a drifter who passed through the city and then disappeared, while others think that he may have been a local resident who lived among his victims. The case has inspired countless books, movies, and TV shows, and continues to fascinate and terrify people more than a century later. The Axeman of New Orleans may be gone, but his legacy lives on, a chilling reminder of the darker side of human nature.